Hello and welcome to Makeshift Minis. Today I'm going to make one of the more bizarre D&D monsters, the grell. I had to put some thought into how to build this one, but it was all around a pretty fun experience. I begin by tracing out a template that I made onto a piece of scrap plastic. It probably would have made my life easier if I had secured it down. After I trace out the pattern, I use my knife to score the plastic on the straight edge. This gives me an easy place to fold the plastic in two. After I cut off a piece that's large enough for me to fold it in half, I cut along the pattern. After cutting out a second piece, I start sculpting using hot glue. I add some hot glue at the fold to fix it at about a right angle. Once the plastic frame is in the shape I want it in, I begin covering the edges in hot glue. After I cool it off in water, I add lines of hot glue on the previous layers, building inwards until I fill in the gaps. Now that the lobe is done, I add hot glue to the surface to give it wrinkles like a brain. While I do this, I take time to fill in any areas that I may have missed. After I finish the first lobe, I make another one, only it's mirrored. With the right and left lobes done, I think I'm ready to move on to the next step. Now that both lobes of the brain are finished, I move on to adding the tentacles. I use my pliers to push the wire into the edge of the plastic at the bottom of the lobe. Since the brain is mostly hollow, it's a lot easier than it would be if it was a single piece of hot glue. I continue adding the grell's grappling tentacles one by one until I have 5 of them along the edge. Once all 5 wires are in place, I add a line of hot glue behind them to make sure they won't fall out. After cooling off the hot glue in water, I use more hot glue to fill out the tentacles and give them a more organic shape. As I work my way towards the middle, I glue down a longer piece of wire so I can later mount the grell to a base. Using a small piece of plastic that was trimmed off earlier, I make a frame for the beak. After the support's in place, I test fit and then promptly glue down a small piece of craft foam to make the top part of the beak. After I glue down the craft foam for the beak, I attach the other half of the body. I fill in the bottom seam before cooling it off in water. I also fill the beak with hot glue and shape it while it cools. I shape a small piece of craft foam by adding a bit of hot glue and folding it in half. After which I glue it onto the main body to form the bottom jaw of the beak. With the rest of the mini finished, I attach 5 more tentacles like I did on the other half. Using my awl, I put a hole in a sports drink bottle cap to use as a base, then I attach the grell with hot glue. After priming the mini red and painting the beacon off-white, I begin to dry brush it pink to show off all the raised details. I dry brush progressively lighter shades of pink by adding white to my palette so I can get more flesh-like tones. Once I'm satisfied with how it looks, I dry brush on some dark blue starting with the tentacles. Using trace amounts of dark blue is an easy way to add a veiny texture without having to sculpt any small blood vessels. The dark blue darkened the mini's tone a bit more than I wanted, so I dry brush a pale pink to try and bring it back up. Once the main body's finished, I use an off-white ivory to clean up any paint I might have gotten on the beak. While I'm at it, I take a minute to pick out areas I might have missed when I first painted it. After gently dry brushing a bit of off-white on the main body, I begin carefully painting the base black. This is pretty easy as my mini is suspended on a wire above the brush. It does, however, mean it's a bit tricky to hold the mini while I'm trying to get the edges of the base. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how to create one of D&D's strangest monsters. The colors came out great, though it's a bit more bug-like than I intended. It's actually surprisingly sturdy for something that's supported only on one wire. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Take care, be well, and until next time.